In Paris, Sam arrives at a party organized by his ex-girlfriend. However, he has no intention of having fun. His only goal is to retrieve his old cassette tapes. When Sam asks for his things back, his ex-girlfriend replies that she's busy with the guests and asks him to wait. Sam is forced to sit alone, feeling uncomfortable among the crowd. When he grows tired of waiting, he approaches his ex-girlfriend again and asks where his tapes are. She points to the office and tells him to stay there until they can talk privately. Ignoring the drunk guests in the hallway, Sam heads to the office, closes the door behind him, and starts searching for his things. After finally finding the tapes, he suddenly notices that his nose is bleeding. He grabs a few tissues and decides to take a short break. Eventually, Sam falls asleep. When screams start echoing from behind the door later, he doesn't hear them. The next morning, Sam wakes up, gathers his belongings, and prepares to leave the apartment. But as soon as he opens the door, he is struck with horror. There's blood and chaos everywhere in the apartment. Grabbing a random object that can serve as a weapon, Sam cautiously steps into the hallway and discovers that all the party guests, including his ex-girlfriend, have turned into zombies. When they try to attack him, Sam manages to slam the door shut. Glancing out the window, he realizes that the situation is the same everywhere. Most people have turned into zombies, and those who haven't are under threat, being chased by the bloodthirsty undead. On the streets of Paris, Sam notices a family desperately trying to escape in their car. However, the loud honking attracts the zombies' attention, and they quickly surround the vehicle, brutally slaughtering its passengers. Sam begins to search the jackets and bags left behind by the guests. Among their belongings, he finds mobile phones and listens to numerous cries for help sent by the victims to their loved ones. No longer hearing suspicious sounds in the hallway, Sam decides to leave the apartment and heads to the building's rooftop, hoping to see any survivors or signs of approaching help. But his hopes are dashed. He is faced with a bleak scene of complete desolation. There's not a single living person on the roof and no help in sight. Left alone, Sam makes a decision to fight for his life. He returns to the apartment and starts cleaning up, trying to rid the place of the contaminated blood. Suddenly his attention is drawn to a strange noise coming from the apartment below. Sam decides to investigate what happened, and then someone shoots, creating a hole in the floor. Sam peers into it and discovers the body of a neighbor who had committed suicide. Soon, curiosity gets the better of him, and Sam grabs a metal rod from the wall, using it to widen the hole until it becomes large enough for him to pass through. Once inside the neighbor's apartment, Sam finds another body. He covers the old man with a blanket and examines the other victim. In the process, he realizes that the first strange noise he heard was when the neighbor shot his wife. She had been infected, and he decided to end his own life after killing his beloved. Feeling hungry, Sam heads to the kitchen in search of food. He thoroughly searches all the drawers and shelves, gathering supplies. Finding a weapon that belongs to the apartment owner, he takes it along with all the ammunition he can find. Making sure there are no zombies in the hallway, Sam cautiously steps out of the apartment and starts descending the stairs. Along the way, he carefully closes each door behind him to secure his path. When Sam reaches the front entrance, he notices a crowd of zombies outside. Without wasting time, he slams the door shut. After ensuring that the building is now secure, Sam goes to the caretaker's room and finds keys to all the apartments, ignoring the zombie trying to break in through the window. Inside the room, Sam finds a can of tuna, which he eats immediately. He also gathers all the supplies and items that might be useful, including handy tools. Afterwards, Sam sorts the keys by apartment numbers to use them for checking each one. In the first apartment he enters, he encounters an infected person who immediately attacks him. Sam struggles with the undead for a while, but manages to push it away and escape. To avoid returning to the dangerous apartment, Sam draws a cross on the door and decides to move on. As he continues exploring the other apartments, Sam discovers, fortunately, that they are empty. He carefully collects all the food he can find, including canned goods and dry products. However, his findings aren't limited to food. Sam also discovers a paintball gun, which might come in handy against the zombies. As a musician, he is especially pleased to find a player, a few old cassettes, and even a drum set. These finds bring back nostalgic memories. After finishing his inspection of all the apartments, Sam puts on a protective face mask and closes the apartment. But then the elevator suddenly starts moving. Inside, Sam finds a zombie who, to his surprise, doesn't show aggression. Instead of killing it, Sam decides to tie the undead to an iron fence with a strap so it can't escape. Late in the evening, tired and hungry, Sam sits down to eat, listening to his old cassettes. The music brings back many pleasant memories from the past, momentarily allowing him to forget the chaos surrounding him. The next day, Sam spends some time carefully observing the zombies outside, studying their behavior. After that, he decides to organize his supplies. He lays out all the food he's gathered, carefully dividing it into portions so it will last a long time, and records everything in a notebook for tracking. To keep track of time, Sam draws a grid on the dirty window, planning to mark each day as it passes. Returning to inspect the apartment, Sam decides to play the drums he found to relieve some stress and distract himself. However, he quickly realizes that the sound attracts zombies to the window, and he has to be extremely cautious. Days go by and Sam struggles to find ways to occupy himself. He continues marking the days on the window, prepares simple meals from the remaining supplies, and sometimes goes out onto the roof at night to admire the desolate, abandoned city consumed by chaos. To add some variety to his life, Sam decides to use the paintball gun he found earlier. He starts shooting at the zombies on the street and then crosses them out on old photos of his ex-girlfriend, imagining that it's part of his battle with the past. One day Sam notices a strong and pleasant smell coming from the apartment below. He goes down and to his horror, discovers that the neighbors' bodies are starting to decompose. Sam decides that he can't leave them in such a state and, overcoming his disgust, picks up the bodies and takes them out to the balcony. However, he can't just throw them away like ordinary trash. Instead, he carefully places the bodies in sleeping bags, adds some of their important belongings, and after a moment of silence, leaves them on the beds as a final act of respect for the departed. Afterward, Sam seals the apartment door with tape to prevent the smell from spreading further. Once finished, Sam decides to take a shower, but suddenly the water stops flowing. Later, lying in bed, Sam hears a strange sound, and terror overwhelms him as a horde of zombies bursts into the room. They attack him, and Sam screams in pain, feeling himself being torn apart. However, at one moment, he wakes up and realizes it was just a nightmare. On one of the following days, Sam decides to add exercise to his daily routine to keep himself in shape. He starts running up and down the building's floors, listening to music through his headphones. During one of his runs, he stops by the elevator and dares to shake hands with the zombie tied to the fence. Sam decides to give him a name, Alfred, imagining that he is his new neighbor. Soon the long-awaited rain begins. Sam sets out pots and containers to collect rainwater. He uses it to finally wash himself. After that, Sam sits by the elevator, lights a cigar and continues talking to Alfred, sharing his thoughts and emotions. Sam admits that the hardest part of his situation is the uncertainty. He doesn't know what happened to his family, and that torments him the most. After some time, Sam stands by the window and suddenly notices a cat outside. Shocked by his appearance, he rushes downstairs, opens the building's door and looks around. Making sure there are no zombies nearby, he opens a can of tuna, hoping to lure the cat. The animal is cautious, but the smell of food overcomes its fear, and the cat slowly approaches Sam. A sudden loud noise frightens the cat, and concerned, Sam leaves the door open and starts sneaking toward a car to find the cat. He hides behind cars, but a zombie still spots him and starts coming toward him. Sam quickly climbs into the car and kicks the zombie in the window. He quickly moves to the back seat and exits the car through the passenger door. Once outside, he runs back to the building, barely managing to slam the door shut behind him. Returning to the apartment, Sam looks out the window again and sees the cat sitting next to one of the zombies and shoots at it. He turns away from the window and suddenly notices blood on the floor. After examining himself, Sam realizes he's injured his leg, likely while fleeing from the zombies. After cleaning the wound, Sam tries to convince himself that there are no signs of infection yet, but he can't be completely sure he isn't infected. Sam sets up the weapon so that it would automatically fire if he starts to turn. Soon after, he falls asleep. In his sleep, his hand slips and the weapon accidentally discharges. Luckily, the bullet misses. Some time later, while Sam is tending to the plants, he hears a strange noise outside. He shouts a few words in hopes of getting a response, but there is only silence. Sam looks out the window and spots a figure in the building across from him. However, due to the distance, he can't tell if it's a living person or a zombie. In search of a better view, Sam climbs to the roof to get a closer look at the surroundings. But even there, he finds no signs of life. Time slowly drags towards evening, and as it gets colder, he decides to return to the apartment. There, Sam sets up an improvised fort out of pillows to create a bit of comfort. He starts a small fire to heat some water and take a warm bath, hoping to relax. Suddenly, he hears strange noises again, but they quickly disappear. Later, Sam begins to worrying about how much food he has left. He packs a bag and heads outside in search of supplies. However, it turns out to be just his imagination, as he never actually manages to leave. Feeling incredibly lonely, Sam starts drinking alcohol to dull the pain. One day, in a fit of desperation, he starts yelling at Alfred, telling him that the zombies haven't appeared for several days and that they both seem to be completely alone. Trying to drown out his loneliness, Sam starts playing the drums again, but the loud noise attracts the attention of zombies. They quickly gather at the door of his apartment, desperately trying to break in and reach the screaming Sam. Realizing what he's done, Sam apologizes to Alfred for everything he said. In anger, though Alfred remains a silent witness to his suffering. After some time, while gathering what little food he has left, Sam plays the old cassettes again. The voices of his family from the past hit him so hard that he loses control and, in a rage, sweeps everything off the table. Late at night, Sam is woken by yet another noise. This time, without hesitation, he shoots through the door. But when he looks through the hole, he's horrified to realize that he shot an ordinary woman, not a zombie. Frozen in shock, he lifts her in his arms and carries her to the bed, where he immediately treats her wounds and removes the bullet, begging her to stay with him. After Sam leaves the room, he notices a woman's bag left by the door. Opening it, he finds a rope and a hook inside. The next morning, overwhelmed with grief, Sam unexpectedly hears, knows and discovers that the woman he accidentally shot has survived. Overjoyed, he prepares her pigeon suit and starts learning more about her. Her name is Sarah, and she has long adapted to survival. She uses her hook to leap from building to building, avoiding zombies. Sarah has seen other survivors hiding in apartments, but many of them went mad from loneliness and fear. According to her, zombies have poor coordination at heights, and she never stayed in one place for more than a week. Sam convinces Sarah that this building is safe enough, but she is doubtful. The gunshot that brought her here yesterday may have attracted the attention of the zombies. After some time, Sam goes on his daily walk around the building, and Sarah decides to join him. As they pass by Alfred, the tied-up zombie that Sam considers a neighbor, Sarah is startled and flinches, but Sam reassures her that Alfred poses no threat and will probably never hurt anyone again. After the walk, Sam returns to his music, and to his delight, Sarah is happy to help him with it. Later in the evening, as usual, Sam talks to Alfred, wondering if he will now be able to survive with someone by his side. However, the problem of food shortage is becoming more pressing. There clearly aren't enough supplies for the two of them, and Sam is forced to consider drastic measures. Eventually, he decides to return to the door he had previously marked with a cross. Inside, he sees a group of zombies, which he immediately shoots down. After clearing the room of the undead, Sam is finally able to gather all the supplies he can find to last a little longer. Returning to his apartment, he anxiously realizes that Sarah is not there. Looking around, Sam finds her on the roof. Sarah seems to be contemplating how to leave as quickly as possible. She tells him that she wants to practice jumping across the street to the building opposite, so she can be ready for a possible escape. Sam begins to protest, explaining that it's too dangerous and that they could die, but Sarah remains steadfast. She explains that the zombies will soon break down the door, and they will become easy prey. In a fit of anger, Sarah storms into the apartment, and a stunned Sam follows her. But her silence begins to worry him, and slowly his mind starts to realize the horrible truth. Sarah never woke up while he was trying to treat her wounds. Her presence this whole time had been nothing but a hallucination. Entering the room, Sam is horrified to find her dead body still lying on the bed. Crying, he approaches her and takes her cold hand. Sam covers the body with a sheet and lights candles to perform a sort of farewell ritual. Then he decides to check her bag. Inside, he finds a digital camera. As he scrolls through the photos, he first sees pictures of Sarah with her family, happy moments from her past. But then he finds a photo of himself taken on the roof. This confirms that Sarah had been in another building and had been watching him from afar. Coming to terms with the fact that he's starting to lose his mind, Sam decides that it's time to leave the building. As a final gesture, he sets his old cassettes on fire. Then he grabs Sarah's bag and climbs to the roof, ready to escape using her hook. But remembering Alfred, Sam decides to set him free. To Sam's surprise, Alfred doesn't attack but obediently follows him. Sam leads him into one of the apartments. Meanwhile, the burning cassettes trigger the fire alarm, and the zombies finally start breaking down the front door. A horde of the undead desperately chases after Sam. He shoots as many zombies as he can, but their numbers force him to retreat. Sam decides to stop fighting and run. He races to the now free elevator, dashes inside, and closes the gates, ignoring the sinister zombie hands reaching for him. Sam begins climbing up the elevator shaft. Reaching one of the floors, he runs into an empty apartment, but the zombies keep pursuing him. In desperation, he grabs the curtains and uses them to distract the undead. Sam accidentally knocks over some items on the floor, drawing the attention of the zombies. He hits a few zombies and grabs the nearest couch, placing it on top of them. Afterward, Sam climbs onto the couch and, using a hole in the wall, makes his way back into his apartment. It's already filled with smoke, and zombies are everywhere, but the thick smoke helps him move unnoticed. Sam finally makes it to the roof. Using Sarah's hook, he throws the rope onto the building across the street. The zombies are already right behind him, so without hesitation, Sam jumps. During the jump, he crashes into the side of the building. A few seconds later, Sam regains consciousness and is relieved that he managed to escape. There's a zombie standing by the window, So Sam climbs to the roof and looks out at the cityscape. Suddenly, he hears some noises in the distance and hopes that they are being made by survivors. The film ends here. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.